Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'll call the Richmond City Council meeting of Monday, March 23rd, 2026 to order. May I have a motion to allow Councillor Hobbs to attend the meeting virtually?
Moved. Second.
All those in favor, opposed, carried. May I have a motion on the minutes?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, opposed, carried. Madam Clerk, any agenda additions or deletions?
None, Your Worship.
All right, so we start off with a presentation from the Gateway Theatre. We could ask the folks to come forward, introduce yourself, and give us your annual report.
Thank you, Your Worship, and City Councillors. My name is Jane Fernyhough, and I am the Chair of the Board of Directors of the Richmond Gateway Theatre Society. With me is Executive Artistic Director Barbara Tomasic, and joining us today is General Manager Susan Shank. I'd like to take a moment to thank my colleagues on the board for all their work and recognize those who are outgoing. I'd also like to acknowledge the work of all of the Gateway staff and our volunteers. Gateway has a large number of supporters from across the community, but first among them is the City of Richmond. Over 40 years ago, the city demonstrated a commitment to arts and culture by investing in Gateway. We very much appreciate the continuing commitment to this and support that continuing commitment, and also the support around planning the upcoming upgrades to our theatrical equipment, much of it original to the Gateway building. And now I'll pass it over to Barbara to tell you about the past year at Gateway.
Thank you, Jane, and thank you, Council. Gateway is so proud to be a place where we celebrate cultural diversity, we learn and grow together, offer professional theatre, and provide an artistic space for all members of our community. This past year was a celebration of all of these values, and I will begin with some artistic highlights. In February 2025, we rang in Lunar New Year with Silk Road Music. Our multi-generational audience was treated to a sold-out concert by this classical ensemble that specializes in fusion of East Asian and Western music. To serve families with young children, we programmed our first Theatre for Young Audiences show in our season. Otosan was a beautiful puppet show in Studio B about a young girl and her father who traveled to the Arctic to photograph animals. And last season's final show on the main stage was Pride and Prejudice by Kate Hamill. This comedic adaptation was a huge hit with audiences and included surtitles in both traditional and simplified Chinese characters. Our 25-26 season opened in October, and both shows were well attended. Gateway is so proud to be able to offer tickets at an accessible rate for our patrons with pay-what-you-can previews, 2-for-1 nights, and community access tickets for all of our main stage shows. This year's holiday musical was Annie, and it was well loved by all and very well attended with our largest audiences since COVID. And it featured local youth and a local pup, Poco, in the starring role of Sandy. Gateway is committed to making connections in our community, including a storytelling event for Pride in July and a celebration of the Mid-Autumn Festival in September with a sold-out concert in Minaroo Chapel. We are so excited to be able to engage with the chapel during our season, so please stay tuned for future projects this year. As well as participating in Culture Days and Salmon Festival, Gateway has created a wonderful collaborative relationship with the Brighouse branch of the Public Library, the Richmond Art Gallery, and the Minaroo Centre for Active Living. Our Academy returned to doing shows in our musical theatre performance program with students presenting a heartfelt and sold-out production of Annie Jr. Demand for our new acting for stage and film classes has been exceptional, with classes consistently reaching capacity, and our high school outreach program continues to be a success, and this year many of our students have returned as volunteers to Gateway. Our rental programs continue to flourish, welcoming both new and returning clients throughout the year. It's so inspiring to see how a diverse range of rentals, including dramas, dances, comedy shows, and orchestras, serve Richmond and the broader community. Gateway has a growing commitment to accessibility. Thanks to the City of Richmond, our main stage theatre now includes railings to make it easier to use the stairs, as well as wider doors to allow a motorized wheelchair to enter the theatre. For our relaxed performances, patrons are able to leave the theater if needed and are encouraged to be as loud and expressive as possible. And for the past 2 seasons, we've offered free community access tickets to organizations such as the Richmond Women's Resource Centre and Autism BC. Increased funding during COVID-19, combined with less programming opportunities due to the pandemic, provided Gateway with a large surplus in our operating account since 2021, most of which was restricted for artistic use, like plays and events and play development. Holding these funds affects our ability to apply for and receive future funding from the provincial and federal granting bodies. Therefore, we have incurred a smaller than planned deficit for last season, and we are anticipating the same for the end of this fiscal year in order to use these funds. Revenue for our programs overall, including shows, our academy, and rentals have increased, and we are pleased to see patrons and students and community groups coming back to the Gateway with enthusiasm. Thanks to a partnership with the City of Richmond and a $680,000 grant from the federal government, our Fly Gallery upgrade is anticipated to begin this summer with additional upgrades in the future. Like many arts organizations, we are impacted by public funding cuts, which have removed around $100,000 from our yearly budget. As well, private and corporate donors are managing their own economic challenges. Gateway is so grateful for the support of the City of Richmond, as this allows us to continue to offer high-quality artistic events and education to our community. Next week, our final show of this season opens, the BC premiere of Wild Woman by Canadian writer Kat Sandler. A fun fact, Yaga, which was also written by Kat Sandler and on our stage in 2024, is now being developed into a TV show by Crave. We are very excited to be announcing our 26-27 season in May of this year.
This year, we've begun implementation of our new 3-year strategic plan that will build upon the success that Gateway has as a stage for Richmond and encourage and inspire us to be a stage for change. This new plan will focus on visibility, community engagement, and continue to build a healthy and sustainable financial future for the organization. Thank you again for your time today, for believing in the arts and that the arts and culture contribute to a healthy community, and for your support of Gateway Theatre. We're happy to answer any questions you
Yeah,
may have.
thank you very much. We have a question from Councillor Day.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for that great report. You touched all the questions I would have had almost. But I just had one. I love the variety of not only shows, but events that you have at the Gateway Theatre. And I was one of the 7,662 people who went to Annie, and it was absolutely fabulous.
Thank you.
Although I think the dog was the hit of the show. But, yeah. At any rate, will you continue to host shows like that, that the general public that maybe aren't as art savvy as others would be attracted to?
Yeah, I mean, I can give you a yes. I will say our holiday musical is the show that brings in the most patrons and the most new patrons for us. So it is kind of the gateway for people to come and see theater. I think next season, our shows are very accessible in different ways, lots of hope and joy. And then we always try to plan one show that is a little bit of a push show, you know, that sort of opens people's eyes to something different that's out there. But yeah, I think that will always be part of what we do because of the community that we live in. And I think that's true across the sector.
Yeah.
You know, it's important for people to feel comfortable coming to the theater
Yes.
and not feel too threatened, especially at the beginning.
Yeah, because, you know, everyone that I spoke to that had gone there just really enjoyed that particular show. And they thought, you know, maybe I should see what else is playing. Like you said, it is a gateway, no pun.
Totally. This year there will be tap dancing.
Oh, really?
I can promise that.
I love it.
Not me. It won't be me tap dancing.
Watch for the announcement next month.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Carol.
All right, well, thank you both. Thank you for all your dedicated hard work. Thanks for putting on such great shows. And please pass along our compliments to your staff, to all the volunteers, to the board, everybody, and to the sponsors, everybody who's involved. So
Thank you
thank you
so
very
much.
much.
Thank you.
All right, may I have a motion to resolve in the committee of the whole to hear delegations on items on the agenda? All those in favor, opposed, carried. Are there any parties here who wish to speak to us on items that are on the agenda tonight? Yes, sir. Come forward. All right, so for you and for others who may be delegating, we ask that you introduce yourself, and you've got 5 minutes.
Thank you, Your Worship. My name is Tomasz Rawotsi. I'm the president of the Sea Island Community Association, and I'd like to speak to item 16 on the agenda regarding the proposed approach to lowering speed limits. So I was a little surprised. So I went through the package earlier, actually today, and was surprised to see that Burkeville is fully included in the green zone in the diagram. I don't remember exactly what page it was on, because Airport Road, as you might know if you've been to Burkeville, is it parallels Russ Baker Way and bisects our park. So it's kind of a key roadway. And I was surprised to see that that's included in the 30-kilometer-an-hour zone, because I regularly, when I stand on the street there, I see people doing at least 70 kilometers an hour or more. And it's understandable because it's quite straight. It's a straight shot. There are some speed bumps right by the children's play area, but after that, nothing, all the way down to the flight path park. And so that strikes me as a bit unsafe, well, extremely unsafe. In fact, there's a bit of a furor in our community about this. And we understand that sometimes when things get backed up on Russ Baker Way, people use that Airport Road as a bypass of sorts to try to alleviate the traffic. And what's worse is people actually go onto the one-way side streets that parallel Airport Road, which is right next to our residences. If you're familiar with Catalina and Lancaster, those also have people speeding clearly more than 30 kilometers an hour. So at any rate, the point that I'm trying to make is that it is worrisome, and we have regular community discussions and colorful, perhaps even fiery discussions about it. And in fact, we've been working also with YVR, I should let you know that as well, because the jurisdictions, as you know, are confusing on Sea Island. And so anything, as far as we understand it, sort of south of, I believe it's Wellington. So when we approach the Larry Berg Flight Path Park, that's YVR jurisdiction. So we're working with them to also install speed bumps there, because that also in the curve, people sort of like the G's, I suppose, as they go around. And so it is also worrisome with the park being there. So I suppose what we're trying to say is that we are very happy to see this proposed approach, but we would like to see more, if at all possible. And in addition, we are actually speaking a little bit, we have started conversations already with the Transportation Department to do a review of all the traffic and the parking in our neighborhood to try to alleviate this. However, it's been put slightly on pause, understandably, until after all the utility relocations and paving have been completed. So at any rate, that's basically what I just wanted to let you guys, let everyone know about. And thank you for your approach, for your support of this, and also ask for additional support.
Isn't Burkeville already a 30-kilometer zone?
Yes, it is. However, people are disregarding it on Airport Road.
Oh, yes. That is another issue. I mean, I thought the thrust of what you were telling us is that these roads should be 30 kilometers, and I'm saying, as a question, they already are, aren't they?
Yes, indeed they are, and it's surprising that that doesn't seem to help
Okay.
mitigate the traffic.
Got a couple more questions. Councillor Galanders.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, that's what I got from what you were saying is that when you saw the map, you said, oh my gosh, we're already 30, but people sure don't act that way.
Correct.
But have you noticed if there is signage? Is there adequate 30-kilometer-an-hour signage?
I did actually, after I checked, I looked on Google Maps,
Yeah.
Google Street View, and there are a couple of signs up near the park area, and there's one additional sign closer to Larry Berg, but that was it. So I'm not sure, maybe additional sign would help, but there always could be more.
Sure.
I'm not sure how much that would help, to be honest, at this stage.
Yeah.
Councillor McNulty.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks very much. You have to. Thanks very much for coming forward and outlining what you have. I have two questions for you, and I agree with you. And signage doesn't necessarily do it many times. People. My question with you, to you is: has your committee sat down and decided what roads maybe need more traffic calming measures. You mentioned only 2 speed bumps along that, right? Well, between speed bumps, you can do pretty well, as you well know. So I guess my question would be to consult with our staff, or have our staff consult with you to see if the community would like additional speed bumps, and not only the road you're speaking of, but some of the other lesser roads, if you wish, on it, and then going to the park, because you're not going to get them from YVR. You're not going to get them from us. So I hope that you would do that. Thank you.
All right, so, okay, so staff has heard what we've had to say. If you could speak to our staff, if staff could reach out and see what else needs to be done. It sounds like it might be a little bit of enforcement, might go a long way. So thank you very much.
Thank you as well. Much appreciated.
All right, anyone else wishing to speak to us on an item on the agenda? Yes, sir? So please have a seat, identify yourself, and tell us the item on the agenda that you wish to speak to.
It's Agenda 17, Your Worship, Councillor. I'm Nelson Taylor. I'm a resident of Minler Road, and I speak on behalf of myself and the other residents on the street. I've been going over the memorandum just before the meeting here and looking at the different options that have been placed on the agenda. I agree that traffic calming certainly can help, but we're in a crisis situation here. We've got a road that wasn't intended to handle the traffic it's handling, number one. And number two, we've got a side gravel on the side of the road beyond the pavement that just becomes puddles of water when it rains. Nobody can walk through there. And, you know, we've had a couple of side swipes on the street, cars trying to get past one another. We've had a dog injured recently, out walking, an elderly person walking their dog. Dog was seriously injured, wasn't killed, but it was seriously injured. We're adjacent to Blundell School, which is a very busy elementary school. We have a Montessori school on the corner of Blundell and Minler, which is also very busy. And I've seen a number of children walk down that street in the middle of the street on a rainy day because there wasn't anywhere else to walk, with an adult in the front and an adult in the back. Now, I can't tell you how many accidents have been on Minler in the last 5 years, but the number of near misses is considerable. And I'd hate to be sitting here a few months from now and saying that, you know, this could have been prevented if we'd have done something earlier. I've lived in Richmond for the better part of 79 years, been a taxpayer for 65. Very proud of the city. I'm proud of the beautification that we do in the city of Richmond to keep it as nice as it is. But I certainly wouldn't want to see beautification go before safety. I know it's not going to be cheap. I know it's going to cost, but a sidewalk is the only thing that I can see that's going to alleviate the problem. As we all know, you know, if you want to reduce hazards between automobiles and people, you separate them. Nothing else has proven to work as good as that. That's all I have to say, and thank you very much.
Now, you've gotten a copy of the memo, right?
I have.
Okay, just to emphasize what you may know, but just for others, the suggestion is that item 17, which is on the consent agenda referring to safety options for Minler Road, that's going to come off the consent agenda. And there's going to be a referral, which basically is to have staff talk to the neighborhood to find out, you know, what's on their mind and what the neighborhood thinks is going to work the best. It's headed up, initiate traffic calming process, and that's what that entails. So that's just to emphasize what's probably going to happen in the next few minutes. Councillor Day.
Thank you very much, Mr. Taylor. Have you lived on Mineral Road a long time?
31 years.
Okay, so were you there when there was ditches?
Yes, I was.
So tell us about that process. What happened then?
Well, as far as I can remember, we contributed some tax money to have the ditches filled in. To my recollection, it went on to our taxes to fill the ditches in and.
I think that's referred to in the memo.
I realize that. So my question is, the ditches were filled in, sewer pipes were put in, I'm assuming gravel or something was put on top. Was there a next step that was coming at that point?
No, nothing
No,
ever,
so that was a
nothing
success.
proceeded after that. No.
So all the neighbors at that time wanted was just for the ditches to be
Just
filled
the
in?
ditches filled in, yeah.
Okay, now they've just about finished, almost, the construction on Gilbert Road. That's, of course, Metro Vancouver project. I want to be clear, not a Richmond project. And I understand that during the time of that construction, that Minler Road was greatly affected. Is it better now that it's finished?
It's not much, really, because a lot of people realized that they could scoot through from Blundell down to Francis on Minler due to the construction on Gilbert. And now that the construction on Gilbert is gone, they avoid the light at Gilbert and Blundell and also at Francis. So, no, it hasn't reduced the traffic that much.
So is it safe to say that during that multi-year construction project that Metro Vancouver was doing the sewers, that people changed their driving habits and now they haven't changed them back? And that's what's affecting the neighborhood today?
That's got a lot to do with it.
Okay, yeah, my knee-jerk reaction is just to immediately put traffic calming down. and
We're
let's
just
get this-
asking questions.
My question is, do you feel that sitting down with the neighbors and coming down, taking the time to get a permanent solution is better than some knee-jerk solution, temporary measure now?
Well, from the people that I've spoke to, this is exactly what we're looking for. We're looking for something permanent rather than a patchwork quilt of, a little bit here, a little bit there. They come down at least 2 or 3 times a year and they fill those potholes in with gravel. They grade them. I have no idea what the cost is, but it accomplishes very little. Because the first time a car drives through it, the gravel's out, the water's in, and you're back to square one again.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody else wishing to speak to us on an item on the agenda? We have a motion to rise and report. What? There was someone? Come on down. Anyone else wanting to speak to us on items on the agenda? Okay. Yes, sir, have a seat, introduce yourself, tell us the item you want to speak to.
Item number 17, which is what we were just talking about.
Right? Your name is?
My name is Daryl Douglas. I've lived there for about 35 years. I was responsible for getting the neighborhood to sign a petition to fill in the ditches, which was a big bonus because it did widen the road. But now we have a problem is that the road is level with the lawns and everything is one piece. So there's no delineation between the road and the sidewalk because there's no sidewalk. And you need some separation of the traffic. I know that lots of cars go down that road almost at highway speed. And you've got children, dogs, people who are walking in their neighborhood and dodging the cars. You have to make some kind of delineation. You can't just put speed bumps in. That's not going to work.
Okay. Appreciate your feedback. Thank you. And there will be more to come in terms of discussions with you between you and staff.
Okay, thank you.
All right, may I have a motion to rise and report? Moved. All those in favor, post carried. That brings us to the consent agenda, the highlights of which include the receipt of committee minutes, the award of the contract for Ford Rock Software Support and Maintenance Renewal, Richmond Tourism Master Plan 2035, amendment to the zoning bylaw to restrict certain industrial uses with odor-related environmental impacts, the Richmond Heritage Commission 2025 Annual Report and 2026 Work Program and Budget Allocation. Then we have the Housing Target Order, the Local Government Development Approvals Program, the 2026 UBCM Grant Application, the Housing Agreement Amendment Application for 10388 Number 2 Road, Then we have 2 awards of contracts for supply and delivery. First of all, for the supply and delivery of PVC pipe and fittings, and secondly, for the delivery of municipal castings. And then we have the proposed approach to lowering speed limits. And the last item, road safety on Midler Road, which is on the agenda, that's being taken off the consent agenda. May I have a motion to adopt those by general consent? So that's moved and seconded. Councillor Wolf.
Thank you, Your Worship. I will be in support of everything on the consent agenda this evening, and I'll just speak on one of the items tonight. It's item number 16, the proposed approach to lowering speed limits. We had a delegate speaking from the Sea Island perspective and did make reference to the map that's on our page, Council 234. And that little green area that he referred to is that little Sea Island area there, which I believe, and I'd like staff just to clarify, that section does not include Miller Road and Templeton. Is that correct?
Your Worship, to Councillor Wolf, that's right. It's just the roads within the Burkeville neighborhood.
Great. So that then it would include Airport Road, which was mentioned to have the signage, but perhaps not being enforced or not followed. So that's my only question to staff. Thanks. I also just wanted to highlight when this was discussed at Public Works Transportation Committee, there are committee members did support an amendment that I made, which is to include what we see before us as item number 5 and 6. So just to clarify for those who weren't here and to just connect it to the map. So part number 5 says proposed 30-kilometer residential neighborhood speed zone would be adjusted. So that map again that I'm referring to, attachment 1, would be adjusted to include the West Cambie block. And if you're not familiar with the West Cambie block, it's the little block that's just outside city center, surrounded by number 4 Road Garden City, Cambie, and Alderbridge Way. So it would be kind of included with all the other purple areas, which are the proposed 30-kilometer zones. And then the other item there, item 6, that's that staff conduct analysis for a list of roads there, which are roads in the city center area, which were actually flagged by our medical health officer, Dr. Mina Dewar, which expressed concern over not including all of the city center at this time, but made kind of a nudge to maybe have us consider consulting those roads as a starting place. So with all the inclusion into this item, I'll be in support of it and everything else on the consent agenda. Thank you.
Councillor McNulty.
Yeah, thanks very much. There are a number of items I'd like to mention. I'm going to follow up on the speed limits. I'm definitely going to support them. I've really pushed hard for them in Steveston. Steveston's working out very, very well. There was no pushback whatsoever, to be quite frank with you, in the residential area of Steveston and the business area of Steveston. Everybody was happy with that. So I think by extending that and seeing what's happening on Sea Island and Burkeville, maybe we can get some traffic calming measures in there as well. But and also have some discussions with YVR for Miller Road and Templeton Road, because they're not in our jurisdiction. However, we can make comment, and same with Russ Baker Way. We can make some comment, let them know our feelings, and not just our feelings, but our feelings as representative of the communities. The community is speaking now. I'm going to be supporting number 6 on the speed limits with regard to the city center. Councillor Heed and I wanted Mineral Boulevard and 30. We got seniors just right out the door here, almost getting hit all the time, even with the flashing lights. We go out here in number 3 where we have our military crosswalk, and we think we've got it quiet, bombing on right straight on through. So I think the idea, at least we'll put these in for now, but the idea we'll be looking very closely where we can add others as well. As we all know, speed kills, and people want a safe community. We can kind of look at all the, I think it's the 21 intersections that have the highest accident rate. I wonder how much speed really takes a portion of that accident. So anyhow, I'll be supporting that, Your Worship. As well, I will be supporting the tourism master plan. I'm a bit critical of it. I think it needs some embellishment in terms of the fishing and farming industry. To it, we have the only active harbor in Canada, in a fishing harbor, one of the longest serving ones as well. And we've got agritourism here, and I think we can take advantage of that. And I'd like us to see on it. And as well, the only other comment, I'll be looking forward to the expanding of sport tourism and sport hosting with individual activities from our Richmond sporting groups, especially from Sports Council. They don't get very much funding from them. Most of the hosting is groups outside of Richmond. So I expect to see a tremendous improvement in that area, because we can still become the tournament capital of British Columbia on it. I'd like to ask staff, Your Worship, a question with regard to housing. I don't know who can talk about the housing targets. I think it's important that we let the folks know about the housing target, especially with affordability and affordable housing. We're making a tremendous effort for affordable housing in Richmond. We've got a provincial government that isn't asking for that kind of thing, but not much direction. So I guess my question is, we're meeting these targets that they've set, and in some cases, as I read the memo we got, are we ahead of schedule compared to what the government wants right now from across the waters?
Through Your Worship to Councillor McNulty, yes, we are. For the first year, we're quite a bit ahead of schedule.
Will we continue that pace for the 5 years, do you think?
We can, the overall, from what we can see for the first 2 years, we can say yes. Beyond the first 2 years, is we can't see that far.
Are we getting any help from the federal government in the housing initiatives and the money that they have said that is available for housing across Canada? They said they were going to build X thousands of homes over the next while. Are we taking advantage of it, or can we?
From what we know through Your Worship, from what we know the CMHC grants are, through the HAF grants, the city is participating to that. I refer that to maybe Mr. Peter Russell, if he knows.
I think Mr. Craig wants to have a word.
Oh, okay.
Yes, thank you. Through Your Worship to Councillor McNulty. In terms of federal housing money, I believe you're referring to Build Canada Homes. The city is seeking funding from that initiative. We have not received any to date. Similarly, we are looking to work with BC Housing where possible. However, recently, as part of the provincial budget, funding from BC Housing does seem to be light at this moment in time.
Thank you for that. Just one more question on this. Affordable housing and all forms of affordable housing, okay? Low income. How are we doing in terms of numbers of that? And are we able to meet a threshold to get it? We keep hearing that can't afford to live in Richmond, et cetera, and they're not going to buy $1 million home. But are we... do we have a target for how many units we would like per year?
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty. The city's low-end market rental program at the end of this year will achieve over 800 units delivered and built. So we're keeping pace with that. In fact, that program has been in place for almost 20 years now. So we're seeing the fruit of the labor there. And then we also will be opening the, there was an opening of the Pathways Clubhouse.
Right. That's great.
Yeah, so we are doing our best with the, with the funding we have from senior governments.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Thank you both, and keep up the good work on that. My just last comment, Your Worship, I'll be supporting the amendment bylaw restricting certain industrial uses with odor-related environmental impacts. We know what happened in previous years with the similar environmental issues and odors within it. Even though we don't control odor here in Richmond. It's controlled by Metro Vancouver. I think we have to take the necessary steps forward to protect our residents and continue to have an odor-free Richmond. Thank you.
Councillor Glanders.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thanks to everybody who spoke and the presentation from the Gateway and good comments from around the table. I will also be supporting everything on the consent agenda. Just want to make a couple of comments. On item number 8, the Richmond Tourism Master Plans, it's just always so wonderful to see these growing documents come forward and highlighting all the things that Richmond has going for it and the passion that our staff put into creating this. And we know how much we all have a sense of pride in just what a wonderful place that Richmond is to visit. And this report, when you go through it, it's quite lovely if you want to look on the website and you can just see all the things that Richmond has going for it. Outstanding arts, a world-renowned culinary scene, deeply historical exhibits and areas to visit, and an incredible natural beauty and farmland. And yeah, like Councillor McNulty said, we could improve some of our knowledge and our agritourism, or just highlighting how much farmland we have here. And we have some work to do on our wayfinding strategy, which is coming forward with improved signage with our transit routes. This came up at the meeting, just that people don't know how to get to Steveston, travelers and whatnot. And so TransLink has some work to do as well, just to make sure that we can get everywhere that we want our visitors to go to. But we definitely are a very wonderful destination, not just that we're close to the airport, but people should come here and just stay here and explore Richmond. And item 16 as well, the proposed approach to lowering speed limits. You're very supportive of this. I'm glad this came forward. These neighborhoods where there's low volume of traffic, when you drive into those neighborhoods, most people already drive that speed limit, so it really doesn't make a difference. And the people who don't, they're being unsafe, hopefully this will deter and teach people, educate that you need to go slower in neighborhoods. Especially, we've been hearing there's so many of our neighborhoods don't have sidewalks. We talked about Arrington at the Public Works and Transportation meeting on Minla Road, and there's many that don't. And yeah, we can't be speeding through the neighborhoods. I do have a question of staff about the map. So on page 229 of our report, CNCL 229, it does mention some local roads such as Dyke Road and River Road have the physical characteristics of a local road, but they aren't the same and they aren't recommended for 30 kilometers an hour. And we discussed things like Dyke Road at great length last year, and we weren't all supportive of 30 kilometers all along there just yet. But when I look at the map on CNCL 234, if you look at the pink portion on the southwestist point of the map, it looks like that is a portion of Dyke Road that's included on this. Is that just optics, or?
Through your worship to Councillor Glanders, the map's illustration is meant to be the shaded area inside the lines of the roadway, so not Dyke Road per se, but the roads to the north of that.
Okay, great. I just wanted to confirm that. Thank you. And so, yeah, I am supportive of everything on the consent agenda. Thank you.
Councillor Liu.
Thank you, Worship. I too will be agreeing with everything on the consent agenda. A couple things I'd like to talk about. Number 8, the Richmond Tourism Master Plan. By agreeing to this and passing this, we're now going to this will trigger a feasibility study on a conference center. So it's something that the tourism industry has been talking about for a number of years. It's something that's a huge possible opportunity for Richmond. And, with the demise of the one in Victoria, they have a much smaller conference center. It's being torn down. Maybe now is the time for us to be looking at such a thing here in Richmond. This has been part of this master plan that has gone out to consultation, been part of the discussion for quite a while now, over a year now, I think. So, I think it's a good opportunity to look at this. We'll also be looking at sport facilities inventory evaluation. As Councillor McNulty said, if we really do want to become a bit of a tournament capital or to be able to host big events, this is the kind of work we need to do. For example, if we want to host Westerns for swimming, Watermania needs an additional 8-lane, 25-meter pool. And a pool like this could have lots of beneficial uses. It could be a little bit warmer, it could be shallow for older people, young people learning how to swim, keep it a little bit warmer. I know when I was little and I took lessons at Watermania, I thought it was awfully cold personally, but that's just me. I was a cold child. And now that I swim regularly, I like it cold. But anyway, this is a good opportunity for us to be evaluating our facilities and figuring out what our opportunities are in the community. Number 9, the amendment to zoning bylaw 8500 to restrict certain industrial uses with odor-related environmental impacts. We did receive an application. There's a company that wants to put in a composting food waste rendering facility. And normally I don't like changing the rules after the fact, after somebody's already come forward trying to do something on land that they're supposedly able to do something on. So you have your piece of land, you have your goalposts on it. For us to pick up those goalposts and move them has an unfairness element. In this case, I think the transparency and the fairness, to set that aside for a moment, is fair, because this will enable us to control how the product is kept on their site and how we can keep the smelly stuff that they're going to have indoors and that the odors are contained. So this is the only mechanism by which we can actually do that. And so that's why we are doing this zoning change. Like I say, ordinarily I don't like moving the goalposts around, but in this case, the company has had lots of complaints in their existing locations, and now they're coming to Richmond. And to protect the Richmond noses, because we've all seen it with the Harvest Power when it came here, the winds changed and we noticed it. We noticed that it was a big problem, so we'll be changing that. And then finally, just one last thing I'd like to say is for number 10, the Richmond Heritage Commission 2025 Annual Report and 2026 Work Program and Budget. I'm the council liaison to this group, and I really have to say last year they did 4 projects, and already this year they've looked at more than 4 projects, I think. And I'm just blown away with the passion and expertise that this group brings. They're looking after our heritage sites here in Richmond. They really have a keen eye and they really have a passion. The depth of analysis that they do is really unparalleled, I think. And I'm just really proud of this group and the work that they do, and thank them for the work that they're doing.
Okay, Councillor Day.
Thank you very much, Mayor Brody. Just a few items I wanted to talk about. The number 7 is the award of contract for software to support maintenance renewal. I'd like to ask staff a question about this, please, because I got a little sticker shock. I'm not going to be honest, as a taxpayer. This is the 5th request in the last 12 months, totaling altogether $15,197,259. So the question I have for staff is, given that some of these contracts are 10 years and 7 years, can we expect to save money by agreeing to sign up for these contracts?
Through your worship to Councillor Day, that indeed is a strategy. We find that by having discussions with our suppliers and vendors and talking about a longer term contract, it provides a negotiation leverage for the city. These vendors are looking for stability and are interested in wanting to show future revenue, and in that context it's a benefit to their shareholders, and so they're more willing to negotiate. We typically find that most of our contract renewals on a multi-year deal have the inflation or have the contract annual increases no more than inflationary rates. When we have shorter term contracts, we typically don't have that same leverage. And so it is a benefit to the city. It ultimately saves the city money.
So spend money to save money.
We're not, through the worship to Councillor Day, we're actually not spending more money.
No.
The money is still in the forecast and budget. We're just trying to save as much money as possible in terms of any annual increases.
Well, thank you, because when you see that kind of number, from a taxpayer point of view, it could be concerning. But if you're basically leveraging the contract to save money in the end, so that's great. Thank you for your help.
Okay.
Number 8 is the Richmond Tourism Master Plan. And I was a little concerned about this one because $400,000 is going to go to sport hosting. And my question is all that money going to the Oval? Because when I was there recently at an event, the people who were hosting events there were talking about how much they spend to be allowed to have events at the Oval. So are we kind of double dipping, or how does that $400,000 work?
Let's not use that term, okay?
Through
Please
your,
answer the question.
through your worship to Councillor Day. So the Richmond Sport Hosting Program is a city program. It is operated from the Oval. It has been for a number of years now. And it is a program that helps host sports not only at the Oval, but across city facilities.
Okay, so that's good. So, okay, that's great. And I'm pleased to see that the MRDT, as it's called, is going to be $8.9 million. So that should go a long ways to support various tourism plans. And I'm excited to see what comes forward. So thank you for that. Number 9 is the odor-related environmental impacts rezoning. This is Harvest Power was a nightmare when they were in Richmond. We had thousands and thousands of complaints, and finally we were able to get them out of Richmond. Then another proposal started coming in, and as was previously mentioned, there was a lot of complaints from the City of Vancouver about their facility. So we were very reluctant to go down this path again, having already been down there. Now, if you're just recycling like branches and leaves, that's one thing. But it's the food, it's the meat that rots and makes such a horrible odor that it's very disturbing to many, many people. And our chief medical health officer pointed out something that I hadn't thought of, that the City of Richmond's experience with responding to odor from the Harvest Power facility would be most informative for policy reviewers. And we encourage the city and the community to submit feedback to this provincial policy review. But given that we've already had letters from 2 ministers, I think that's important information to make sure that they get. So if we do get the opportunity to meet with the ministers to defend our decision to make this change in the zoning, then I'm sure staff will be sure to supply us with the background information so we can justify this decision today. The Richmond Heritage Commission is doing great work, and I'm happy that we're saving our history. That was number 10. Number 11 was the housing target order. And so the BC target for housing in Richmond was 1,013 units per year over 5 years each year. And in 2025, we built 2,054 units, so well above that average. But the guideline, I pointed this out to staff the other day and asked them, the guideline is that 50% of those units are supposed to be below market, and that information's on page 149 of our book. Guideline is the key word there, because without federal or provincial funding, that's almost impossible. Now, we have built quite a few units here in Richmond, and some of them have already been mentioned tonight, and they are very affordable. But we can't keep doing, we provide the land, and then we have other groups come in and provide the ability to run it on a daily basis and also build the units. So we did build 334 affordable supportive units, but without further provincial or federal funding, we're not going to be able to make that 50% guideline, as was pointed out. Number 13 is application for number 2 road for a housing agreement. This is for Lemur, low-end market rental units. And last year, we made a decision to allow the rents to be up a little bit higher because rents had gone up so much. But now the rents are starting to come down. So when I asked staff about, well, I mean, the rents have gone up, will they come down? Because they're supposed to be 10% below market value. And they said they will, but unfortunately we have to wait for the numbers to come in. So that's something that we'll be working on later on, adjusting those rents for lower end market rental units as the market changes. Number 16 is the proposed lowering of speed limits. The map on page 234 clearly shows that almost the whole city will be 30 kilometers an hour, but that's for the neighborhoods. The arterial roads will stay exactly the same. And I think it's important to allow traffic to move freely on the arterial roads, but when you start racing down a neighborhood with kids and dogs and bikes at 50 kilometers an hour, that's just irresponsible. So I think the right thing to do is to make this change and keep our people safe. Thank you.
All right, so on the consent agenda, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. That brings us to the item that was taken off the consent agenda, and reference has been made to it. And there's for those of you who are interested, there's a memo that talks about the various options for the Miller Road situation. And I would move that we adopt, as a council, we adopt option 1B, which is to initiate traffic calming process. Is there a seconder? Second. Okay, so that's moved and seconded. In a very short period of time, staff did a very thorough analysis of the various options, and there could be more as well, of course, with the fullness of time. But the options that were set out in this memo were option 1A, to install traffic calming measures. Option 1B, which is on the floor, which is to initiate traffic calming process. Option 2, which is to implement a stop signs on Miller Road at Lucas. Option 3, to implement asphalt pedestrian walkway. And option 4, proceed with design of asphalt pedestrian walkway. So those are the basic options, and there could be more, as I say, or there could be a combination of them. There's all kinds of pros and cons to each one of these, but the motion on the floor will have staff be talking to the neighborhood, and we'll get a much fuller explanation and insight as to what this neighborhood is looking for. So I'll support that motion. Councillor McNulty.
Yeah, thanks very much, Your Worship, by supporting 1B for the interim. Before we go too far down the road, I think it's critical that a meeting be called in the next number of weeks with the residents of Milner Road, so get their ideas. We heard a gentleman lived there for 55 years, somebody else for 35 years. They know best. We need to hear from them and what they were doing. Well, we can put the action forward, but I think we need to find out from them exactly what they need and what they want, and then we can come back from there. And I think it's extremely important that that take place very shortly, and then we can look through this. Again, we only got this afternoon with the suggestions we can put there, but they may not want all of, or they may want all of, or some of what we are suggesting, and they would know best. So to me, Your Worship, that's key, and I think in 1B it says, if I can, the exact schedule an open house in April and invite all residents on both sides of the road, and the people on Lucas Road as well. And as we know, I think we have Huntley Wine just in the back there somewhere, and so I'll have all the folks there and on it, so we can go from there. So with that, I will be supporting the motion that's on the floor to get it moving.
Councillor Day.
Thank you very much. We had a very long conversation about this at the Public Works and Safety Committee meeting. Transportation, yeah, sorry. That's my committee. Anyhow, thank you, Councillor Wolf, for chairing that meeting. I was unfortunately on another meeting. At any rate, I was really pleased that the people came forward, because you're the eyes and ears for your area. And without the intel that you provide through Councillor Heed, we wouldn't have known that it was an issue. So that is critical. And, like if we look at the options, my knee-jerk reaction is, let's do something tomorrow. We could put a stop sign in for $700. We could do traffic calming, 4 speed cushions for $32K. We could put an asphalt walkway in for $660,000. But that doesn't really address the issues that the community is facing. And so I think that going with 1B, which is starting the process to start the communication, is absolutely the way to go. In my own neighborhood, I live down by Stevenson and 5 Road, and on Shell Road, it was a very dark, nasty road, and one evening a man was killed as he was just simply walking down the road. And only after that did the city put in wider asphalt sidewalks and barriers. So there's now a safe place to ride your bike, to walk your dog, to walk with a stroller. And it's really sad that it took someone dying for that to happen. So I feel that what we're doing here is the right thing to do, which is to find out what the neighborhood needs. The report is very good, and I give staff kudos for coming up with this in such a short period of time. And they've got a lot of statistics, and I know that the people that are here that are part of the neighborhood have a copy of this. So I'm excited about moving forward and seeing what the best possible option is for Mindler Road, and let's make it safe. Thank you.
All right, I'll call the question then on the motion. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. So now we get to public announcements and events. I've only got a couple of them, and they're for April. April is just around the corner. So first of all, we have the Cherry Blossom Festival. Everybody is invited to go to the Richmond Cherry Blossom Festival at Garry Point Park, Sunday, April 12th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Visitors can enjoy a variety of activities, including artisan demonstrations, live performances, and children's programs. A variety of Japanese food will also be available from local vendors. Please note that the Garry Point parking lot will be closed and limited free parking will be available in the village. So cycle, walk, or take public transportation if you can. So we look forward to seeing you there to celebrate the cherry blossoms and the richness of the Japanese culture. Now, secondly, it's time to talk about and remind people about the civic closures for the Easter weekend. Richmond Civic Services will be closed Friday, April 3rd and until Monday, April 6th in recognition of Easter. So many services are available 24/7 online at richmond.ca or via the My Richmond app. For holiday hours at parks, recreation and cultural centers and our 24-hour emergency line, visit richmond.ca/holiday hours. So, Madam Clerk, bylaws for adoption.
Thank you, Your Worship. There's one bylaw for final adoption with no opposition.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, opposed, carried. And on the development permit panel.
Thank you. There are two recommendations. Recommendation 1, that the minutes of the Development Permit Panel meeting held on March 11th, 2026, and the Chair's report for the Development Permit Panel meetings held on August 27th, 2025, and November 13th, 2025 be received for information. And Recommendation 2, that the recommendations of the panel to authorize the issuance of a development permit for 100 Douglas Crescent and a development permit for the property at 14511 Westminster Highway be endorsed and the permits so issued.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. May I have a motion to resolve in the committee of the whole to hear delegations on non-agenda items?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, opposed, carried. We have one such delegation, Mr. Dickey, Jerome Dickey, to delegate, and he'll tell us what it's about. So please come forward, introduce yourself, and sir, you've got 5 minutes.
Yeah, thanks. Ironically, I guess I chose to come and delegate on Traffic Safety Night. Good evening, Mayor and Councilors. My name is Jerome Dickey, 9280 Glen Allen Drive, Richmond. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening in reference to the petition for safety improvements on Glen Allen Gate I'm providing to you this evening. Right here, I've got a petition with 50 names of residents in the area, and I'll pass it on to the clerk for the record. I'm here tonight about a clear and preventable traffic safety issue on Glen Allen Gate between Garden City Road and Glen Allen Drive. Over the last few years, traffic conditions on the street have changed significantly. With the construction of the new townhouse development at Garden City Road and Glen Allen Gate, both traffic volume and on-street parking have increased. Glen Allen Gate is physically wide enough for 3 lanes, but because parking is permitted on 2 sides of the street, the usable driving space is reduced to effectively a single narrow lane. The result's predictable. When vehicles approach from opposite directions, guess what happens? One driver must stop, reverse, or try to squeeze past parked cars. Residents experience this situation every day. It's a daily event. Drivers often need to reverse down the street or pull into driveways to allow another vehicle to pass. There's been numerous close calls and near accidents. especially near the Garden City Road entrance. It's only a matter of time before something more serious happens. This is not a complicated issue. It's a street design problem that's emerged as density increased, and it's something municipalities deal with all the time. The straightforward solution is to prohibit parking on one side of Glen Allen Gate, allowing vehicles to pass safely in both directions. Many Richmond Richmond neighborhood streets already operate this way. Tonight, I'm asking council for a practical step forward. I respectfully request that council direct staff to conduct a traffic and safety review of Glen Allen Gate, including traffic flow and on-street parking impacts, and report back with recommendations within 60 days. The key point is this: the current situation is not working, and residents are asking for the city's help to address this before a serious accident occurs. As Richmond grows and neighborhoods become denser, our streets sometimes need small adjustments to continue functioning safely. This is one of those cases. A simple review and timely response from staff would go a long way toward improving safety and peace of mind for residents. Thank you for your time and consideration this evening. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, I'm suggesting that we
refer it to staff.
Okay, so that's moved and seconded to refer it to staff. But we will ask some more, we can ask some more questions before we call the question on that. My question is about, I'm looking at the picture that you supplied to us. Is that looking towards Glen Allen Drive or Garden City?
That's looking towards Garden City, the photograph one.
Yeah. Now, it looks like there's some work being done on what would be Garden City. Is that exacerbating the problem?
On Garden City? No.
It looks like there's a big trailer there on.
No, those are just vehicles that are parked on the street.
No, but past that, it looks like there's a front end loader or something, and it looks like a big truck. Okay, a big truck or a big trailer or something off there to the right.
Those are always there.
Well, okay.
The vehicle. So if you're talking the house on the corner there,
Yeah.
yeah, that house has always got big things parked there. The house on the corner actually has a lot of boats in the yard and other stuff around there.
Well,
quite
that
often.
may be a second problem that
It might be a second problem.
should be
yeah.
dealt with. Okay.
But the street parking along there still is both sides.
Oh, yeah,
And,
yeah. My point being is it's, I'm not taking away
Yeah.
from your point that
No,
it's
fair
too
enough.
narrow, but I'm saying that it could be further exacerbated by the fact that you've got the big stuff
Sure.
there. So, anyway, Councillor Day.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Dickey, for again bringing up a safety issue to council. You live there, you know what's going on. Do the townhouses that were approved that are along Garden City that are obviously affecting this traffic issue, do they have tandem or side-by-side parking?
I believe it's tandem. Yep. And before that development honestly was there, we didn't have this problem. So again, it's just density, Richmond's changing, you're putting new buildings, and with that comes increased vehicle traffic and parking issues.
And just remind me, because it's a long time ago since we approved that project, is the access to that townhouse complex off of the Glen Allen Gate or off of Garden City?
No, it's off of Garden City.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And yet they still, interesting.
Well, yeah, it's convenient parking, because if you don't park in the complex, you're either gonna have to cross Garden City to park on the other side, which is a busier road, or
Right.
you park on Glen Allen Gate, which is less busy, and you can walk right in the side of the complex that way, right? So
that's why
it's
they're parking
convenience,
there.
right, yeah.
Is there any parking available on Garden City or?
Well, there is across the street, because you'll see all along Garden City that people do park there.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
probably full too. Okay, yeah, well, I would definitely support a motion to look at this because it's pretty obvious. I drove down there today and same thing, there's
Yeah.
cars everywhere. So, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks very much for coming forward. I believe Riviera has garages. I wouldn't think they have. It's interesting, I've been there 4 times, and the flat deck is still there.
Yeah.
And the other, what do we call it, hydraulic is still there. Obviously, somebody is using that as a 24 7 parking lot, and I think it needs to be looked at. How does coming out of there, how is it going to face with a traffic light that's there, or pedestrian light? As you know, it's a new one in there.
Yeah,
When you come out and go west, and come out of Glen Gate.
Yeah, I think the biggest risk is if people are pulling into Glen Allen Gate off of Garden City and they meet a car head-on,
Yes.
where that might stop them right on Garden City,
City.
where their vehicle is then sticking out in the traffic,
Get
and if other
rear-ended.
cars are coming along, you got a high risk there of
Yeah, it
something
was
happening.
interesting that you can have 6 cars on the north side and 6 cars on the south side, but if you got trucks, you're only going to have 4. But I think referring this to staff, your worship, given that maybe there needs to be some other permit parking if you're going to have it on one side, or time parking, and remove parking off the other, or no parking. Maybe let's hear what the petition says and go from there. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so I'll call the question on the referral to staff. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried.
Chairman, on the Verizon report.
All those in favor, opposed, carried. Thank you. We are now adjourned, and Councillor Hobbs, thanks for sticking with us.